Welcome everyone to tonight's webinar. We're up to, can you believe it, webinar 10 of 12. We've only got this one and 2 more to go. So we're 3/4 through, which is crazy to think we were, first talking about this program back in March and we're already right at the end of July. Isn't the year going fast? So tonight we're talking customer satisfaction systems, which really is applicable to most businesses. Most businesses have customers and most businesses want them to be satisfied. So whether this is your first webinar with us or whether this is your 10th one with us, a big, huge welcome. Glad you've found the time. And even if you're watching this as a recording down the track, we don't mind that at all. Key is that you're getting information and even better, hopefully doing something with it. This webinar tonight is part of the Sunshine Coast Council's amazing Level Up program, which is aimed at people like you, small and medium businesses here on the Sunshine Coast. We want to get you connected to faster internet, or the NBN where available, which is rolling out across the region. But most importantly, not just getting faster internet, but actually using that fast internet to do cool stuff that makes your business make more money and save time. There's so many digital tools out there. It's really hard to find the time to research them and know what's any good. So that's why we're putting it all together in this easy format. Just jump on for an hour, learn about stuff. We pull in experts. I'll introduce you to our expert for tonight in just a moment, and hopefully get some really great information to drive your business forwards, no matter what stage of business you're at. If this is your first webinar, my name's Yvette Adams. I run a company here on the coast called the Creative Collective, and I've also got a training organisation called the Training Collective. My company successfully tendered and won the contract with the Sunshine Coast Council, and I happen to be the chair of one of the council task forces too for the knowledge and professional services industry, and we saw that need for this in the community, and really great that the council got behind it and are doing something. Apart from being a business owner, I'm a mum. I do everything online because I have to around kids. I do a lot of it on my mobile, and I'm a real geek, finding out about new online systems, and I love finding local businesses that are creating cool stuff, not just consuming digital tools. So really excited tonight to introduce you to Steve Lawrence, who has shorter hair there than he actually does in person. So I hope you don't mind, Steve. I grabbed a picture off the internet of you standing in Noosa boardroom, but welcome on tonight's webinar.
How are you doing, Yvette? A pleasure to be here.
Great to have you. Steve, would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and I guess most importantly of all, the connection to customer satisfaction systems?
Yeah, certainly. So in 2006, I opened up a serviced office business called Noosa Boardroom, obviously up in Noosa, and it was just traditional serviced offices. About 3 years into the business, I sort of fell into a bit of market research work through the Noosa Council and then Sunshine Coast Council doing surveys, business surveys, which was great for a few years. About 2 years ago, I realised the surveys that we were doing were quite intense for the client or for the business, the person doing the survey. Started looking around for a simple way to get quick and easy feedback. There wasn't much out there software-wise, and a chance interaction with a developer at Noosa Boardroom led to us coming up with an idea for a very simple customer feedback system, which is called Ensampled, and I look forward to talking a bit about it tonight.
That's awesome, Steve. Yeah, so love you to text chat in if you are a local business and have maybe even filled in the, it's quarterly, isn't it? Business confidence survey, and it still goes today, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we've been doing, that's one of our sort of products, Sunshine Coast and Gympie, Moreton Bay, Ipswich. Also did a lot of in-depth business surveys, so phone surveys, online, paper-based, focus groups. So I've experienced all that. And at the moment, though, I'm concentrating on quick and easy feedback and sampled. I just had a meeting today with Sunshine Coast Council. We're doing their market research for the Horizon Arts Festival. It starts up next month, and that's quite an in-depth, phone on-site survey with iPads, the full breadth of it. But Ensampled is included in that as one of the tools to get feedback from the punters.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we all like quick and easy, everything, recipes, business advice, and definitely customer satisfaction. So just to paint the picture of where I guess this sits in regards to everything else, last week we did another topic, which was customer experience systems, but these two are pretty closely linked. So as we talked about last week, in case you weren't on it, Gartner defines customer experience management as a practice of designing and reacting to customer interactions to meet their expectations. And let's face it, customer expectations keep getting higher. They want quicker response times. They want a better service. Things are more transparent. Companies are more accountable. I mean, look at things like Airbnb or Uber. You're only as good as your last ride or your last host. People can give you a bad review, and it's kind of all downhill from there. So if that's something you're interested in, check the webinar recording out. It is available. Live chat, online phone systems, CRMs, which are some of the customer experience systems we discussed that can really elevate the experience that your customers are having with your business and helping your response times and helping personalize the experience and bunches of other stuff. So tonight's topic's all customer satisfaction. So there's a description on the screen there, Steve, but how do you explain customer satisfaction to people when they ask you?
What is customer satisfaction? Good question. You pretty much covered it there. That's quite a good answer. I guess it's, when I started doing the market research and then feedback and satisfaction, I was expecting to see a lot more negative responses, but customer satisfaction, I found out, is pretty much always positive. It's rarely you get the bad ones. It's important, provides markets. I mean, I've got a big list here of the reasons why you should be doing it. So going from, engagement, improving your product services, asking your customer, engaging after the sale. You spend all this time and money marketing, developing your products and services, getting the client to purchase, and some or most businesses sort of just stop there when you should be continuing after the sale, asking customers, were you satisfied with the service or product, and then using that feedback to develop further and improve the engagement with the client.
Absolutely. So let's flip over to slide 7. Now, this is a recap because we did cover it last week, but I guess we can flip it a little bit. Last week, we talked about the customer lifecycle, and as you've rightfully pointed out just now, Steve, you need to measure the customer satisfaction not just once, but at different points in the life cycle. So last week, I encourage you, and also in the workshop, if you attended that recently, I encourage you to map out your customer life cycle. So I said there'll be different ones for different businesses. Depends if you sell products, if you offer a service, if you sell online, if you have a bricks and mortar store. But love you to text, and if you have gone and done that homework, because it is pretty important. But then a lot of companies measure satisfaction at the very end of the journey. But what's your thoughts on that, Steve? I mean, is there a recipe for how often you should measure it, or at which points, or any words of advice around that?
Yeah, they'll get asked this a lot, and it depends on, I guess, the actual type of product or service you're selling. Using an example, some of our clients, like Mortgage Choice, for example, you're getting a loan for a house, which is a once and or twice in a lifetime purchase for most people. You ask at the end of the sale there, but if you go to a hairdresser, for example, you'd be wanting to ask every single time, how was the haircut? So it depends on the product and service you're providing as how often you'd ask.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, we haven't covered this in the workshop. We covered different stuff. So if you are going, oh, this will probably be the same as the workshop, it's not. I did a bunch of research, and we've got Steve, so we're going to lean on him tonight, but to look at different ways to measure customer satisfaction. And I guess Steve's bound to have done some research on what is the latest and greatest way. I guess a lot of us think customer satisfaction, and we think of a survey at the end, like a long kind of email survey. But now there's in-app surveys, there's post-service surveys, there's CSAT, customer satisfaction scores, net promoter scores, and bunches of others. So we're going to go into each of those in more detail. So we'll just skip over that slide from there. So in-app surveys, these pop up all the time these days, don't they, Steve? Do you have much to do with them?
Yes, definitely. Noosa Boardroom, if you go to the website during business hours, it'll be a pop-up will come up for sure asking, got any questions, how's it all going, sort of thing, with the experience on the website. So that's very important for grabbing someone while they're there and asking them how's the experience on the website going, or if you're in a shopping basket, making sure everything's going smooth through there and having the ability to ask questions and help the client through the process of whatever they're doing on your website.
Yeah, cool. And I mean, let's face it, when we talk in the industry I'm in, we talk about mobile first. So a lot of people spend a lot of time on mobiles and popping up things while they're doing an experience on an app or on a social network or somewhere where they already are means you get in front of them and you can actually capture some feedback. So do think about whether any surveying you're doing now or might do in the future and whether you can do it via mobile, via an app or something along those lines. So in-app surveys, this one on screen is flockapp.com. Don't know if you've heard of that one, Steve?
No, plenty around.
Yeah, according to this, and I personally haven't dealt with it either, it's a global comparison and you can see how a company compares to the rest of the world, and it auto-suggests survey options, and it's got all sorts of, templates and things, so it can just sort of fast-track the process. If you're new to surveys, that could be kind of helpful. Let's move on to post-service surveys. Text in if you are a service-based business and maybe whether you do a survey or not. Steve, tell us about service-based surveys and what you can share with the audience on what they should know if they're looking at doing these.
Yeah, so there's a number of different methods, and once again, I guess you'll touch on it a bit later, is like how much time do you ask of your client to give feedback? Once again, I suppose it depends on the service or product that you're selling, but you want to, I guess, ask a whole bunch of questions about how was the product and service for a start, how was the communication, how were the staff involved, asking both qualitative and quantitative questions. So give a rating of 1 to 10, that pretty much tells you what they think. High rating, obviously good, low rating, something's gone wrong. But then asking, as we do within Sampled, for example, the first screen is a 1 to 10 rating. Depending on what the score is, they will either go, if it's a low score, what was wrong with the service? If it was a great score, we'll ask, thanks, what did you like about it? But once again, a rating, I guess, is an easy way just to quickly to get some feedback, and then asking more in-depth questions depending on the rating.
Yeah, awesome. I like that last point of having a rating score, because it takes the pressure off, and it really is a good way to sort of, do more quantitative, isn't it? Take that in and
on that, I mean,
different elements.
One of our KPIs is always response rates. Everything we do in market research or satisfaction surveys or feedback is, you want to get a high response rate. So making it easy for the person doing the feedback is very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on. More on post-service surveys. Here's another example of those, userlike.com. So in website chat features custom to your brand and chat features that look like major social media features. So we talked about live chat last week, but this integrates the customer satisfaction side of things as well. So that might be a system you could look at to track some metrics on where you can improve. So you can arrange your staff response within the site by language function. It's got quite a few functions. So as always, we throw you a bunch of tools, and Steve will definitely be talking about his too if you want to support local, and we'll share that later, and you can evaluate which ones might be for you. So then there's these long email surveys. I guess these are the traditional ones, really, hey?
Yep, they've been around for, and everyone's doing them.
Yeah. So would you say in trends these were the go and we're all moving away from them, or where do you see the industry being at?
Yeah, I mean, SurveyMonkey was revolutionary for sure. Made it easy for anyone to put up a poll or a survey. The issue is, of course, that everyone started doing it and there was survey overload. That seems to have died down a bit because businesses realised that it was too intense on the client side. But having said that, they're also very important. So when we do our market research, we will use a long email survey as one tool, I guess, and identifying the type of or the good clients within the organisation that will most likely respond, and then asking questions, I guess, around that are going to improve the experience for the client with that business. So asking good clients long email surveys is often very useful because they're the ones who have been dealing with you for a while. You can ask questions that most people would think would be irrelevant, like, how good is the invoice? Is it clear? How is the ordering system? Is it easy to book or buy your services and products? So they're very useful But as you say, the low response rate. But generally, the data and the information that comes out of those long surveys is very useful. And if someone's taken the time to do it, you know they've got something important to say or suggestions or feedback. So the data is always very good.
So when we say a low response rate, Steve, I used to hear a stat and share it with clients, but I really would love an update that if you were getting a response rate to a long email survey style of say 20 to 30% of people you were hoping to survey, that was a pretty good result. What would you say is a good result? That's
fantastic. A response rate for a long survey below 10% is generally the go. Anywhere 5 to 10% for a long email survey if it's just blasted out there. With the shorter type of feedback surveys, we get anywhere up to 50% response rates if it's all over in 30 seconds and it's just 2 or 3 screens and it's very quick. But once again, that's a rating. You get limited data, whereas the long email surveys give you really in-depth and good responses. So a good response rate, anything above 10% is good.
Okay. And I haven't got it in here, but I think it's worth touching on while we have you as well. People are more likely to fill in something longer if they're incentivized, right? So would you recommend incentivizing, and what sort of incentives work to get people to actually complete and get that response rate up?
Yeah, I've had mixed success with incentives. The old usual complete the survey and win an iPad or a trip somewhere. I think it was good for a while, but I've stopped using them in my business, and I recommend clients don't use them. If someone's got something to say, they'll say it. Once again, I guess it's unique to each business. If you're really got something worthwhile to give away, have a go. I mean, test it, see what happens. But I think that sort of thing has sort of died off a little bit, and I don't generally use them anymore.
Okay, really good feedback there. So this example is good old Google Forms. If you haven't heard of it, a lot of people know Google products, and I know I talk about them a lot in this program, but they're great for small businesses because they're free, they're pretty intuitive to use, and they link into other Google stuff if you go that way. So if you didn't know, Google has Google Forms that you can run a survey on if you wanted to. Cool thing is it has multiple choice checkboxes, etc., and it all feeds into a spreadsheet. So pretty easy to get up and running, and you can customize it with your logo, your colors, integrate YouTube videos. Like you could say, hey, it's Yvette from the Creative Collective, we're wanting feedback, all that kind of stuff. So that's a good option for long email surveys as an example as well. There's limitations there. I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, no, Steve, isn't there? So would you say Google Forms is a good starting point or a drafting point before you look at more sophisticated software maybe like yours?
Yeah, for sure. Design of this survey is very important. Having your logo on there and looking like you've spent some time looking at, how often I get surveys that are all bad fonts all over the place. So if you want your client to give some feedback and spend some time on it, they want to see that you've spent some time making it look good, I guess.
Yeah, it's got to look pretty. Everything online does, or people don't want to touch it. So then there's CSAT customer satisfaction scores. We ask your customer to rate their satisfaction on a sliding scale. It's an extremely direct way to get feedback, and it doesn't offer specific comments. It's a great way to get an overview. So would you give this its own bracket, or does this really sit within the long form surveys, or do you break it down like this when you discuss customer satisfaction?
Yeah, once again, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's a quick and easy way to find out if someone's happy or not. And it can lead to further in-depth conversation. So making sure, I always make sure that we know who's given the rating, whether it be an email or linking it up somewhere with the client. So if they do give a 1 or a 2, at least you've got the opportunity to get in touch with them and ask what went wrong or why did you give us that low score? And on the flip side, if they give you constantly good ratings, what are we doing right? Tell us why you like us so much. So it's quite simple, but quite powerful too.
Cool. So here's another one, check market. That's what we mean, like just 5 areas, and you're either very satisfied, unsatisfied, neutral, satisfied, or very satisfied. There's nothing worse, is there, as a person responding to a survey going, there's not one of the options I want, but I love those particular ones as an example because you usually fit into one of those brackets, don't you?
Yeah, I agree. Nice and simple.
Yeah. So on that tool check market, you can export them into Microsoft tools if you're more of a Microsoft person. There's templates, it tracks your improvements, calculates things. I guess some of those features are pretty standard, but that's another example. So Net Promoter Score, I really feel like this has become less sort of a real marketer's, I guess, back pocket tool to being really quite mainstream now. Wouldn't you say, Steve?
Yeah, well, to be honest, 4 years ago, I had no idea to look it up. What does NPS mean? Because I met with a big corporate client and they said, well, we must have the NPS. And I said, oh, God, what's that mean? And researched it. It is used a lot. It does help, I guess, as once again, another input or another tool to look at the overall satisfaction. I find that only the bigger corporate clients are still using it, and generally the smaller business people don't know what Net Promoter Score means still. It's definitely a big corporate tool because there are, there's manuals and there's whole systems out there. I've seen it firsthand with some big corporates. The NPS system is through the entire organisation, managing staff satisfaction, client satisfaction, interaction between departments and that sort of thing. So it's not just a client score, it's a score used across the whole organisation. It can be quite in-depth. Once again, it gives you a quick overview, I suppose, of how you're doing. And there's a little formula involved with NPS, whether you're a detractor or an advocate or neutral.
Yep, NPS score. So if you've heard it for the first time tonight, now when you hear it again, it will pop up again for sure. You'll know what it is. So promoter.io can track a Net Promoter Score. You can forward feedback to your team, automatically repeat it. This could be really good for employee surveys. We do one with our team. We've grown our team, doubled it in recent times. We've got a team across Newcastle, Sunshine Coast. Me being based in Sunshine Coast, it's hard to know what the sentiment of the team or culture of the team is in Newcastle, whether they're happy or whether there's problems brewing. So we recently forwarded that, and I would love to automate it so it just goes out every 3 months rather than me going, oh gosh, it's been 6 months, I really should do it again. So that could be a good solution for that kind of thing if you do have a team, even of contractors. Let's move on to another, customer effort score, CES, a unique survey where customers are asked to rank how much effort it took to resolve their issue. So would this be an example like support tickets and things like that, Steve?
Correct. I'll be honest, I'm just getting into this CES score. We had a request a couple of months ago about it, so we're trying to integrate it into our in-sample product. But yes, spot on. It's sort of, the request came from a call centre, trying to measure how hard it was to get the information out of the call centre. So once again, the lower the score, the better, as you say there. It's good at predicting customer behaviour. Yes, that's very much so. Another tool, another way of measuring satisfaction.
Yeah, so we also, as a example, do have a support ticket system. So because we have so many hosting and domain clients, people do have email issues, websites go down, people forget their logins, all sorts of things happen. They get blocked because people think it's a security issue. So we will resolve the ticket, and then the system, it comes in built with that particular system, automatically says how satisfied were you with that. And that helps us to monitor the number of tickets, which of our team are responding promptly, whether people were happy with how they were resolved, and pinpoint areas that need fixing, like we have too many email issues, or this particular staff member doesn't seem to resolve them or doesn't seem to resolve them quick enough. So yeah, we definitely use that, but I didn't know it had a name. Now I do. Here's one as well, wootrick.com, that does that in app micro surveys. Probably some other support ticket systems like Zendesk and the big ones would probably have that built in, I would imagine. So check those out as well. There's one other client I thought worth mentioning, social media monitoring, which is a space I do know lots about. Steve, do you play with this as part of your business or not so much?
I must admit no, but I'm aware of it. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about this.
Cool. We'll definitely be drawing on you a bit more in a couple of slides. So we're not really touching on digital marketing per se in this particular program because, as I said at the start, it's all about productivity and profitability. But sentiment and whether your company is, whether customers are satisfied on social media is pretty important to monitor these days, because if someone gives you a really bad review on Facebook, it reflects really badly, or on Google, or on TripAdvisor or Yelp or something like that if you're a restaurant. So good idea to monitor who's saying what and whether the sentiment, we call it in social media, is positive, negative, or neutral. Really interesting case study. Queensland Rail, I met with those guys back in 2012, so this is going back a while. But when they started, the overall sentiment was pretty bad, I'd say negative. People were talking about the train's always dirty, it's never on time, it was late, all that kind of stuff. So the PR team's job was to turn that negative sentiment on social to neutral or positive, was sort of the brief. And they did that by actually engaging with people, and I guess doing a little bit like Queensland Police Service do, having a sense of humour, giving people the deal straight, engaging with people, and they measured it all the way to see that it actually had been effective. So yeah, it can have an immediate impact on your business. People can decide as a prospect whether they want to work with you, want to inquire, just by checking out what's going on in your social and what other people have said. And it's become easy through applications that allow you to search and do things with that. So I thought, what of all the tools I know of, because there's lots of them and I could do a whole session on this really easily, would be a good one to recommend. I'd probably say check out Mention.com because it's free. So you've got to pick up what words you want to monitor. So I might monitor my company name, like the Creative Collective, maybe my personal name, maybe staff members' names, maybe any trademark products or services I have. Just keywords that, there's unlikely to be noise from somewhere else. So if you have got a common name or of a company or person, that is going to be hard, but better to know and go through some of the rubbish and pick out, oh, wow, someone's actually said something really great about us or really bad, than not know at all. It's also got an influencer area. So if you want to identify who's big and talking about that stuff all the time, like customer satisfaction, you could go in there and find that out. So check that out and have a play with it. It's pretty cool. Google Alerts, google.com.au, or even just /alerts. I call it poor man's media monitoring because it's also free. And you can put queries in there, and every time that gets mentioned on Google, like maybe there's a review on a consumer website or something like that, it would pick that up. So I guess that's not so much social media, but almost like Google ranking monitoring. So that's a good one to know as well. So at this point, I'd love to know, do you use any customer satisfaction systems? Please text in if you do, or if you don't. And if you do use them, which systems do you use? We'll share them. We'll see if we know them. And we'll share them with the rest of the people on the line or on the recording so they can check them out as well. So next up, I had some systems to check out. And Steve, I wonder, I imagine you being in the space, if you're familiar with these and what your thoughts are. We love honest feedback. So if you think they're rubbish, tell us they're rubbish. Do you know, ask nicely?
So I must admit, 2 or 3 years ago, I researched so many different systems, had so many free trials, trying to find exactly what I'm currently doing within Sampled. It's been a while since I've checked out the competitors. So Ask Nicely is a new one to me, but I'm having a look right now as you talk.
So this one I heard about because I do some work with a crowd out of Sydney. They're called Business Blueprint. They're pretty good at researching online tools, and they use it. And they're using it with an app they've created. It's called Bryn. I might have told you guys about it. It's a free business advisor app. You download it, and then you can watch advice from different people. So because they're building this new platform, heavy investment, it's artificial intelligence, they really want to know what people think. So they use this tool, and I've definitely seen this tool pop up with lots of other ones. It integrates with your CRM, so you might be able to see that Yvette is a customer or has inquired twice about your business and she was really happy last time she talked to you or whatever, or even a help desk. So we like integratable things, which I've mentioned lots of times, and that's one that you could check out. What about Servacate, Steve? Come across that one?
No, I have not. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're going to hear all about yours, and you're going to really talk it up in a minute. I haven't used this one either, but it had lots of wraps online. Probably the reason I thought to include it most of all was, again, the integrations with things like Infusionsoft and HubSpot, Google Analytics and MailChimp, which are some systems that I know some of you guys are using. So check it out. SurveyMonkey, I know you'll know about because it's been around for ages. Donkeys, not monkeys.
And I still use it in the business, and it has its advantages for sure. I mean, it's gotten better and better over the years, and for those in-depth surveys, it's a great product.
Yeah. But it does cost, and I guess, is it helpful to you to even do a little bit of an intro to your tool and how it maybe varies from SurveyMonkey?
Our SurveyMonkey gives you so many different options, analytics. It's really good for the bigger surveys for sure. Our product is very simple and has a nice little dashboard at the back of it. Ours is more around feedback. We've made the decision not to use the word survey anywhere in our product. It's all about feedback and capturing testimonials, and I guess when something goes wrong, quickly sorting it out, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Cool, can't wait. This one's also a bit of a, I don't know, it's been the kid that's been around the block lots of times in this space. I mean, SurveyMonkey I've been using since something like 2006. Poll Daddy, I'd say, very similar. And it's good because it's, like you're saying, simple. It's, you know, just quick polls on different things. It's got a WordPress built-in support. If you wanted to run polls on your website and you had a WordPress site, you can add content from YouTube or Google Maps. So that's kind of cool. And they've developed the tool pretty well over the years as well. So check that one out if you want to run a poll as opposed to survey. What about Get Satisfaction, Steve? Played with that one at all?
I was looking at that recently. Getting closer to what we're doing. It's a mixture, I guess, of both systems, surveys and satisfaction. I'll let you talk about more because you obviously know it better than me.
Can't say I know it really well, other than it does come up a fair bit. But the thing that got my attention with it is the Facebook integration. I just love integrations. I love when things work together, and then you can start to pick your shopping list based on. It's almost like making a recipe, right? You could go and buy that ingredient down there and that ingredient, but do they actually go together, even if they're wonderful ingredients? So I like bringing things together in the technology world that go together and make a beautiful recipe that everyone loves to utilize. Last tool I've got for you before we go into Steve's tonight is Survey Gizmo. That's also been around a while. Had any contact with that one, Steve?
Yes, I've used Survey Gizmo. So Survey Gizmo, Poll Daddy and SurveyMonkey are the three that I guess we use most in our market research business, depending on the application, as in what purpose is it for. But Survey Gizmo is definitely a good one, and I reckon it has a good price point too compared to the other ones.
Okay, that's a good tip, hot tip. So here's another prompt. Do you use any of the software? If so, which one? If you don't, any of those that we've outlined so far, ones you're thinking, actually, that could be quite good. I could definitely see myself needing to do that. Or maybe you're going to need to go onto the features page and or pricing page, or even more in depth of each of those tools and evaluate whether they're right for you. But before you do, make sure you check out Ensampled. So Steve, give us a rundown on what you do, and is it helpful if I pull up the website and kind of run through it while you talk about it?
Yeah, on the chat on the right-hand side there, see Rob's joined the conversation. Rob is my partner in the business. He's the developer. He's got a link there to a working demo that we have done for Repco, the mechanic shops around Australia.
So go to the demo, yeah?
Oh, sorry, on the right-hand side here, Rob's got a... Oh, we can use the demo there. Correct.
Where do I go, sorry?
What you were doing is right. In the chat on the right-hand side there, I've seen Rob's joined the conversation. He's got a demo, but you can do it from there. So company name.
Oh, so you want me to fill this in?
Yeah.
10? Yeah. I presume people online could be doing this too if they want to try it out.
Absolutely, yep.
So feel free to follow me, guys, if you like trying out new tech like me.
So the way we work, we send out a email after the sale. It's all automated. It can be a text message or an email. This is a this was for a sort of market, like a hospitality type business. This is our demo. So we ask very broad questions and ask for a rating. If you go back to the previous screen there, just hit previous.
You said you were unclean, Steve. Joking, obviously.
So basically, if you're happy with the service, if you just want to give them a 9 or a 10 there, Yvette, for everything. So you stayed at some hotel and it was nice and the staff are friendly, everything was easy, great value for money. Because you gave good ratings, we ask, thanks for the good ratings, would you like to leave a short testimonial? If you want to hit previous, sorry, before you start writing a nice testimonial, if you want to put like a 1 for the cleanliness, just keep 10 for everything else and just do a 1 for the cleanliness. The next screen will prompt you asking why you weren't happy with the cleanliness. So we ask broad questions, trying to get as much information out of the client as possible. And if it's good ratings, we ask for a testimonial, which then is automatically published to the website with a click of a button. If you give a bad rating, it'll ask why you weren't happy with the friendliness of the staff, for example. And it gives an opportunity for the business owner, who will get a text message or an email immediately as soon as that button submit is hidden, to what we call create a recovery moment. So someone's gone wrong with the staff there. The business owner will get a text message saying you just had a bad review. The customer details will be included in that text message and email. So the business owner can immediately get on the phone and say, hey, Mr. Joe Bloggs, thanks for the feedback. We noticed you weren't happy with the staff. You mind telling us why? So before they can go off on social media or start going on about how bad things were, you've got the opportunity to pick up the phone and sort it out immediately. Every single survey or feedback form should always have this screen. Do you have any general comments or suggestions? This is where most people will dump their thoughts or ideas. So very important to ask, do you have any general comments or suggestions? And that's it. The next screen is the end of the survey, or the end of the feedback, I should say.
So I think some people shy away from this feedback, but even negative feedback offers a golden opportunity to identify problems in your business and fix them, right?
Absolutely. You want to keep that customer, and once again, you spend all that time and money capturing the client. Now you've got them. Something might have gone wrong. As you saw, they were happy with everything else, except possibly someone wasn't particularly nice at the counter at reception, or one of the cleaners wasn't nice. You've got the opportunity to create a recovery moment and get that client back with can we offer you a free trip next time or something like that. The flip side, as I said at the start of this, is most people give very positive feedback. It's rare to get bad feedback. So when we set this up, we assumed everyone would be getting bad feedback, but it's been the complete opposite. It's all good feedback, which then creates the opportunity to get a testimonial. And once again, if you get a nice testimonial, you'll get a text or an email message saying someone's just been nice to your company. Here's the good feedback. You literally click a button and then it goes up onto your website. So it creates an engagement with the client. It helps capture testimonials. And in the rare occasions you get the bad feedback, the business owner has the opportunity to find out why. And the feedback that we get from and people that are using InSampled is it feels good when you get these testimonials. So it's small business is hard, as you know. When you get the good feedback and the testimonials, it genuinely feels good and makes you feel good about your business. You can then pass that testimony on to the staff members in the business and the organisation. So everyone feels great. That's our dashboard you're looking at there. I know it's a static picture, but that gives you a dashboard of the InSampled feedback system. Within there, you can benchmark. So if you've got multiple stores or offices, you can see which ones are doing better than the other ones. Same with staff. You can filter by staff to see which staff are performing well if you've got multiple staff. If you've got different products, you can filter by different products and services. So it's in depth as you want it to be. But once again, it all gets back to just asking the client after the service or the product sale, how did we do, and going from there.
So $44 a month, I bet there's some, strategy behind that price. Would you say you're on the low end, mid-range or high end for what you're doing here?
Yeah, we're about the standard for this type of feedback. Once again, we discovered 2 or 3 years ago there was nothing out there. Of course, now there's lots of stuff out there similar to us. We sort of been approaching the bigger corporate clients, but now we're very soon we'll be introducing it to the small business owner, and we have a few clients now. Noosa Van Lines is a classic example. They're a removalist company in Noosa who are all about engaging with the clients, and for $44 a month, they're getting amazing value out of asking for feedback.
Yeah. It's not a lot, really, if you consider that, you know, even if one person filled it in a month and you identified a problem and you could fix it, how many thousands could that save you in keeping that customer or getting other customers that you didn't even know were unhappy, right?
Yeah, and the price for capturing all those testimonials too. You know, when you go to a website and you can see real-time testimonials going up with dates that are last week and not 2 years ago, and constantly being updated, it's very powerful.
So just to know how, automated is it? Like, what does this integrate with? So let's say I offer a website development. How would I get that out to my clients to complete a survey after?
Yeah, there's a number of different ways. The smaller business people, I guess we're talking to today, there's just a simple data entry. We literally put the email address in and name of the person and hit submit, and away it goes. We've created APIs for some other bigger companies like Fuji Xerox, for example, have started using us. So that's all integrated into their CRMs. We can do it any way you want. But I guess for smaller business owners, there's upload of a CSV file or just simply entering an email, first name, and hitting send.
Yeah, cool. I really love the idea of testimonials. And I noticed this thing up here, Google Review. How does it solicit those?
So that's something we've discovered in the last year is Google Reviews become a real big thing, and not a lot of businesses are taking advantage of it. So still using our sampled, but on the last thank you screen, if it's a positive review, positive feedback, it's all 10s and 9s, little pop-up screen comes up and says, would you like to leave a Google review as well? And most people are logged into Google these days, so they hit yes, and away that screen is immediately there with the 5-star rating. You can just hit 1 to 5 and leave the review, and that's become quite effective. So using InSample to find out how the client thought of the service. If it's positive, they'll be prompted for a Google review at the end.
Really good idea. So yeah, exactly what Steve said, for sure. More Google reviews will give you better rankings on Google. That is a fact. And so do Facebook reviews actually also. So they can hook into your Google My Business listing. So that's a digital marketing discussion again, not really covered in this program, but good tips on this topic in relation to it. So whichever way you get them. And talk to Steve from Ensampled. Let him know that you're from the Level Up program. You heard about it through this, and I'm sure he or his team will be more than happy to hear from you. Do you prefer phone or email or anything in particular, Steve?
All my details are there, phone, email. Phone's always the best.
Yeah, fantastic. So your homework this week is, if you're not already using systems to measure customer satisfaction, look at the systems outlined tonight, or maybe through this journey you'll find others. If you do and you think others would benefit, please pop them in the Facebook group so that everyone's aware of them. But basically evaluate their suitability to your business. As I said at the start of the session, I can't think of a business that wouldn't have customers and wouldn't need to measure their satisfaction at some point. Is that fair enough to say, Steve?
Yep. If you're not asking after sale, once again, you're missing out on an opportunity.
Yeah. So it might involve, like always, when putting in new systems, a discussion with your team or other business advisors. It depends how big your team is and exactly what stage of business you're at. But who knows, there might be a system in place, but no one's actually doing it. I know for a while we were like that. Today we had our strategic planning, and I said, guys, I really want to push getting more Google reviews, Facebook reviews, and asking for more feedback. We're doing great work, but we're just not asking for it. So now everyone knows and we're all reminded. Hopefully it'll start happening. But something like Steve's tool would definitely help that. So question time. We've got Steve online for a good 10 minutes more. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer your questions. I'll just flick over to the text chat and see if any have come through. Looks like some have. Liz said, does Steve have a website? You all know it now, and Steve gave it to you. Liz said, thanks, Steve. I Googled you, but nothing came up. So it's via Noosa Boardroom. Andrew said, we want to know what our customers are thinking at each stage of our interaction with them, but they don't particularly want to be bothered by us over this. It's not important to them. At what point, this is a good question, does our request or need for feedback negatively impact on our business? How do you judge this and adapt to this? That's a good question, Steve. How much is too much?
Yeah, once again, if it's during the process, once again, depending on the industry and what you're selling, I think just asking, even just picking up the phone, how's it going? Especially if you've got an extended sort of sales process, depending on what you're selling, keeping it simple during the process. Is everything on track? So using something similar to what we've got, or even just a very quick email. Getting customer feedback doesn't have to be through software. It can be as simple as picking up the phone and just recording how's it going. And then at the end of it is when you get a bit more in depth. So I know when with Noosa Boardroom, for example, some of our sales are quite large, especially when it comes to office space and extended times. I'm asking all the time, how's it going? Is everything okay? And then every 6 months or every 12 months, hitting them with a reasonable size survey, looking for improvements and ways to make the service better. So at what point does it become negative feedback? I guess if you're asking too often and people stop responding, you're asking too often.
Yeah, so I guess you've got to probably almost experiment, because every industry would be different, right? So work out if your audience are going to respond to a Google review or a Survey Monkey or an Unsampled or a not ask nicely, or, different customers probably will answer in different ways. I mean, a long-term customer, maybe, is it fair to say, Steve, who has some loyalty, is probably more likely to fill in a long review, a long survey, and the customer who's pretty new is probably going to want to keep it short.
Yep, good point. Absolutely. Once again, just asking 1 to 10, how are we going at the moment? And if it's 10, everything's fine, move on. If it's 7 or below, what's not quite right? So keeping it simple. And then if you find an issue, that's when you start asking questions.
That was a great question from Steve. And I see what you're on about before now. I just clicked because you're saying TextBit, and I was looking on the website for Unsampled, and you meant on the actual webinar platform. So hi, Rob. Thanks for joining us tonight from Unsampled. And he's given you a good Unsampled feedback tool, which has got satisfaction rating, NPS score, positive, negative suggestions, feedback, testimonials. Got a whole lot built in there, which is awesome. So there's not a lot of other questions coming through. So I presume we must have done a good job, but I will judge if we've done a good job if you guys are going to go and do your homework and get some systems into place. Some would be better than none, but like we've just been talking about, evaluate what sort of response rates you're getting. And I think that's really valuable to know that, under 10% or 10% is good, 20 to 30 is high, and anything above is amazing. I remember sending out a survey for a client once and him getting upset with me because only 50% responded. And I said, are you kidding? That is really good response rate. Like, you should be really happy with us.
I always ask myself, would I do this? When the worst surveys are from the government, and they come on and it's 15 pages and it just goes on and on and on. Ask yourself, would you be bothered doing this? And if the answer is no, then don't do it yourself.
Some people weirdly actually like filling in surveys. There's not many of those weird people in this world, but there are some out there. And just another side note, if you are one of those weird people who likes filling in surveys, you can actually get paid to fill in surveys online. I think, is it Red Surveys through Qantas has this tool. I think Google Surveys pays an amount to fill in surveys for their customers, like where people need an audience to ask or test a product as well. So there's that side of it as well. So yeah, there's literally a product called Google Surveys as well. Cool. I'll just give you guys a quick rundown on Level Up, and then we'll wrap up tonight. So you've jumped on a free webinar. We're very happy to have you. And if you're listening to the recording, equally so. If you were to do the full program, it's not too late because you get access to mentors. There's huge value in that. They're really established, knowledgeable people. Some feedback we have had, which I mentioned last week, is they look so amazing. I'm scared to go and see them. I think they'd be intimidating. I think they'd be too technical. I'd feel silly asking them questions. Please don't. We've picked really down-to-earth people who are great with you, whatever level you're at, whatever stage of business. No question is a silly question. The value is that you can sit down with them, or do a Skype chat, or do a phone chat, and ask them stuff you're struggling with to implement or decide on or whatever. So huge value there, but you only get them if you sign up for the full program, which is only $295. The other part that you don't get unless you do the full program is a Facebook group. So the moment you become a member, you get pushed over to find the group and join that. If you have enjoyed tonight, there are more sessions coming up. I'm going to cross out these ones. We've got 2 more. The next one's going to be a really good 1st of August. I've got Andrew from our team taking it. Andrew's been with us for a long time. He's going to run through all the systems we haven't had time for in the other lessons. So it's going to be a jam-packed lesson. We're going to talk about learning management systems, project management systems, bunches of other stuff. Basically just throw a whole lot more tools at you, tools that we use or are tried and tested or have good ratings, that sort of cut above the noise and save you a whole lot of research time. And finally, webinar 12 is all about data and analytics and dashboards. So I love that you, Steve, and you, Rob, have got that dashboard tool. I would love to have something like that on my screen showing how our customer satisfaction's going.
Dashboards are important.
Yeah, they're
It's
cool.
real time.
Hey?
It's real time, and it's very useful.
Yeah, there's a big trend towards them, and there are tools, we're going to introduce you to them, that help you create your own dashboard. You work out what metrics are important to your business, and then you can have them running on a separate screen if it's just you at home working in a small business, or have them somewhere else for other people to see, whether it's sales you've made online or number of people on your website or number of bookings you've taken for an event or whatever metrics are important to you. So we'd love you to jump on that final webinar in the series. We do have some other events. So we've got workshop 4 happening not far away, a couple of weeks. We will cover off the open data analytics reporting. We've got Johannes from our team taking that. He's a real gun on it, so it's going to be a really great session. We've actually also just confirmed 2 more sessions. They're not on here because they're not fully published, but you're the first to hear. We're going to do a session specifically for tradies. So if you're a tradie or you know someone who is, we know that the digital age is affecting them as well. Some are getting some digital tools in place, some aren't. We know that they use their mobiles a lot. We know they don't have a lot of time to come to a workshop. So we're running a 2-hour power-packed evening session, opening the doors at 5 from 5:30 to 7:30, giving them content. So if you've been doing this program and going, oh, hubby's in the trades, or, you know, uncle, cousin, dad, someone else you know, could be a female obviously too, not just all the male examples, get them to come along to that tradie session. Details will go on the website really soon. The other session we're going to run is one for the hinterland. So I know there's some people in the program that are in the hinterland, doing the drive down to Kawana to the workshops, or loving the webinars because they don't have to drive. If you know other people up there, there will be a real focus on restaurants, hospitality, tourism, retail, those kind of businesses, because we know the percentage of those businesses up there is high. And if there's another location or industry or topic that you'd really like to see us do, we've got a couple up our sleeve. Give us that feedback. We'd love to hear from you. In line with this, we'd love to know if you're satisfied or would like to see other things. So if you want to register for the program, go to levelup.sunshinecoast.qld.gov.au/register. Not too late to do so. Or register for the events on the events page. There's lots there. And a shout out, as always, to our program partners, of which, if we did not have them, this program would not be happening. But the biggest for Sunshine Coast Council, who have funded it and make it possible for you to access sessions like this for free. So thanks so much tonight, Steve. Any parting words or, I don't know, encouragement to these businesses listening to this?
I just think this program's awesome. I was researching it a couple of weeks ago, and well done to everyone involved. It's very useful, and I love the format. And thanks for the opportunity tonight to talk with you guys.
You're welcome. I hope you hear from lots of businesses. And even if this isn't for you, of course, pass on Steve and his business to people you know who might find it useful. So thanks all. We'll see you online next week, and appreciate you getting on and or listening to the webinar. Do your homework and you'll get the most out of the program. Good night all.